Thank you for coming back to another episode of the Tony Montana channel. On this video audio, I am going to talk about, raising dogs, all the types of people that can raise a dog, and what raising a dog, and different types of raising dogs, what does that do to the actual temperament of the dog. Now, I got this from this idea, this sort of conversation topic from one of the comments in one of my videos, or one of those Chico Lopez fans that do not actually have one of his dogs, but he wishes to have one of his dogs, and basically rationalizes things that happen with my dogs as not knowing how to handle dogs. So, I think I was going to ask him to explain what he meant by, oh, I just don't know how to handle dogs, because um, it's impossible for me to. I would say it's impossible for most people to raise a dog to jump into fire, as an example, like burn itself, because it goes against what they feel. Just jump into that fire for no apparent reason. They're not going to do that. They're not going to jump into a fire. They're not going to get trying to, for just because it goes against, their nature. So there are things that you can modify so slightly, but you can't really turn one thing into another. Um, for example, you can't a dog that is going to be dog aggressive or animal aggressive. You can't really turn it not aggressive. You can help the dog, help, how would I say, distract the dog, redirect the dog, but you can't really be in that situation and expect the dog to go against their nature. You can temporarily redirect their attention, and that, depending on the breeding of the dog, the genetics of the dog, may not even work. It would just be impossible for it to be redirected. When again, just be clear here, when we're looking at our American People Terriers, some of them are so hot from early age that you're left thinking, you know, uh, you gotta separate them. I've had that situation. Different dogs need to be separate at different stages. I just happen to be lucky with this particular group that you've seen on my videos, that particular group gets along with each other. And again, I've mentioned that I do have to be careful with the females, that I do see signs that I have to stop from progressing. And they've gotten to the point that, again, there are the pack. One is looking to assert itself higher than the other, but I'm not allowing that to happen for obvious reasons, because it's not going to be like a regular dog fight. It's going to potentially become not like snarling and showing teeth and maybe snapping, or like regular dogs. This really will go full out. So obviously, I need to step in and make sure that none of that hierarchy work happens in my house, and that is why I crate when I'm at home. When I'm not home, they're not out here walking around, prancing, sleeping on the sofas. No, they're in individual crates, looking to make sure that they're not looking to assert themselves within the pack without me. So, uh, as I say, there are things that you can do to modify, like a little bit, like slightly enhance, more likely. Like you can make a dog that is raised indoors is going to be a smarter dog. A dog that is raised indoors with family, not just like on the cage. Because I know I live in the city, and I know there's a lot of people that have these pit bulls, but they're really just in their cage. Even though they're in the house, they're in the cage. It's not like mine that they're in the cage when I'm at home. Or if they were, dogs that didn't like each other, then I would have to crate and then rotate. Give a couple of hours free, then rotate the other a couple of hours, so on and so forth, and then one will sleep out, you know, on the sofa, and the one that doesn't get along will have that particular day or night rather in the crate. But the next night they get to sleep on the sofas and the other dog. Again, that is if I had that situation, and I've had that situation in the past. And again, I'm lucky that this particular batch of dogs that you've seen on my videos happen to get along, happen to be, but it is something that it's always it requires me to keep them at a 50% energy level because they are worked. Again, and in the summer less than the winter and so on and so forth. But you are required if you have multiple dogs to keep them exercised so that they're not looking to release energy in a way that's going to compromise your situation at home. So, what do you guys think? How much can saying, hey, how much of that influence of you raising them? How much can you be? How much negative can it get? Can you make a game dog cur just because you raise them at home, just because you raise them with other dogs? I don't think so. I don't think so. I see this situation as a tool for you as a breeder, a tool for you as a pet owner of multiple dogs to identify their personalities without actually having to fight them. That's not, obviously we live in a completely different world than when, these dogs became a breed. So, there are other ways of identifying curs. I think that you can identify a cur just by letting them tell you who they are, how they are, and, as obviously I understand a lot of people don't believe that puppies can show cur behavior, but if that behavior that same behavior was on a adult dog, it would be a cur behavior. So just because they see it in a puppy, they're like, oh, no, well, it's the same thing, but it's not cur behavior. Um, you know, yes, there are things that you can misconstrue as a cur sign, but it could be just puppy lack of confidence due to again lack of stimulation. That could be a possibility that you can misconstrue that particular unsureness with her behavior. Um, so, and I've seen that. I've seen people that dogs that I've received, and they weren't really handled. They were really handled through their puppy. They were just, yeah, I could only just say it as they weren't touched, they weren't picked up, they weren't do by human hands, by humans doing. So when they come home, and they get that handling, it's a completely different experience. So that might say, oh look, it's a curb behavior, but in reality, just lack of handling, and it's so new to it. It freezes. It's trying to uh, digest what you're doing. But if he continues, if you see it like now, you have that dog for a few months. Now that puppy is a 2 month, the 2 month puppy now is a 4 month pup, 5 month pup, and it's still showing this type of things. And you've got, especially if you have multiple dogs, and that particular dog is doing, you know, all the dogs are being raised the same way. The difference is their natural genetic predisposition. And I've spoken about one of my females that she is a skittish female. She is a female I have to handle with kitty gloves, white gloves with that female, because if I raise my voice, she would literally go try to find her crate and stay in her crate. If I want her to come out of the crate and she doesn't want to come out of the crate, and I forcefully can bring her out so she could be hanging out with her, she would she would shut down, and she would literally try to go back to her crate and stay there, even the crate is open. She would just stay there. You know, is that because of something I did? No, it's just her personality. So I do try to, as, even when I'm correcting the other dog, sometimes she's like, oh, maybe she's talking about me. He's talking about me. Let me get out of here. While I have another dog that I could smack him, and 3 seconds later he's back on my side, happy as go lucky, and like, yeah, I got it. But let's keep going, you know. But anyway, I think this is good enough for you guys. I hope that you appreciate the content and the whole process of how much of the person, like that we could think about the STP Buck. STP Buck was was bought by a doctor or some sort of, like, I can't remember the story, but it was a professional, had nothing to do with the breed, and eventually he had to return it because the dog was just genetically predisposed to certain things that this individual professional couldn't make his life. He couldn't change it. He couldn't train it out. So he had to, no, he had to give it back to the breeder, which produced such a great legacy thanks to STP. Anyway, so this is a short one, or not a short one, but a good enough. I wasn't going to make anything now, but I haven't done any content in a while, so I hope you do appreciate this one. This is Tony Montana. Until next time.